YTBC, what's the deal? Before I start this video, let me give a shout out to Fair Shake Boxing. He's a fellow YTBC member, fellow uploader. Go to his channel, subscribe if you haven't already. Something he left in my comment section about, it was on my Dana White's At It Again, comparing MMA to boxing, and he left a comment, ironically, that had nothing to do about that video. It just lets you know how important boxing is to us boxing film, as far as you know, if they do make Martin versus Glaskov, the winner should pretty much wipe their ass with the title and give it back to Tyson Fury and say, here, you know, take this trinket. It doesn't mean anything. I didn't beat you for it, so it doesn't mean anything. Fair Shake went back and said, hey, you know, if it's Charles Martin, whoever the winner is, shouldn't do that, especially if it's Charles Martin, because nobody knows who you are really in the grand scheme of things as far as the boxing public. You're not a household name. So for him to give up his one and only bargain and chip, that wouldn't be a smart business move at all. And I agree with that point. That wouldn't be smart for Charles Martin. Nobody knows who you are to begin with. And if you do become the IBF champion fighting Czar Glaskov, you got to keep that title, because no matter if Wladimir beats Fury and Deontay Wilder, no matter who's the other champions are, they're not going to be undisputed if you have the IBF. So that's a bargaining chip you don't want to give up. Another commenter, when I made the video about the IBF possibly stripping Tyson Fury the other day, Matthew Wall, another commenter I want to give a shout out to, he made a good comment saying, hey, how about Glaskov for Wilder for the IBF strap? I have heard it be rumored that Glaskov may fight Wilder. Why not make it for the IBF title? That way we can kill two birds with one stone. The winner, that would be unified, and then they can fight the Fury Vladimir winner, whoever the winner is. I know some of you are going to say, hey, what about Povetkin? I understand that. I'm just going off of what Matthew Wall said. I know Povetkin is in line to fight Deontay Wilder for the WBC. Terrence Talbot also said, shouts out to him. He said something. He said that he hit Peter Fury up on Twitter, and Fury said that they should be okay. And shouts out to Pugilist Fanatic. He made an interesting comment saying, man, so we're going to criticize the IBF for enforcing their mandatory. And I understand what all these guys are saying. The thing is, you know, like I said, I'm all for mandatories. You know, title fight goes down, win, lose, or draw, the winner fights the next mandatory. Now, in some cases, we do have to make some exceptions. And I said that if Wladimir Klitschko, you know, gets immediate rematch for all these titles and all the sanctioning bodies, the WBA, the WBO, if they're in agreement, the IBF should just follow suit. I mean, Wladimir Klitschko has been their champion. Let's forget about the other unifications, you know, just IBF. He's been their champion since 2006. I mean, if we're going to give anybody a chance at a rematch, shouldn't we give it to Wladimir Klitschko? Hasn't he earned the right? I know as boxing fans, we get involved with the term earn. If anybody's earned it, I believe it's Wladimir. I mean, he's been your champion for damn near, you know, for damn near 10 years, man. For 9 calendar years, he's been your champion. The IBF chairman, Lindsay Tucker, I'm going to read some comments. I was on skysports.com. I'm going to read some comments she made today. She says, to be clear, Tyson Fury must fight Czar Glaskov next. If they agree terms before December 11th, we cancel the purse bid. If it goes to a purse bid, the winning bidder has 90 days to do the fight. Okay. They also go on to say, regarding Klitschko rematch taking precedent, is just the opposite, as the mandatory takes priority over the rematch. In fact, Rule 3B return bout states, no contract for a championship contest shall contain any clause or provision whatsoever guaranteeing or in any way assuring or promising either contestant a return championship contest where such clause or provision interferes with the mandatory defense of the title. Peter Fury also left a comment. It's not pulling up here on my iPhone, but I'm going to paraphrase him. He pretty much was saying that if the IBF strips Tyson Fury of the title, they will be looked at by the public. They should be looked at, you know, in a shameful manner. And I'm going to agree with him. Like I said, Vladimir's been the champion, you know, been your champion, IBF, for 9 years. You know, I was looking at Czar Glaskov, and you know, people are making it out to be like this guy's been waiting for a title shot for 4 or 5 years. If you go and look it up, Czar Glaskov has been the #1 rated, or at least the highest rated. And what I mean by that is sometimes the IBF, they'll have a position, whether it's the #2 ranked position, they'll have it non-ranked. Like their month of October rankings, for example, they have Czar Glaskov #1, #2 they have non-ranked. Then #3 they had Fury, #4 they had Charles Martin, 5 Tepper, 6 Cunningham, 7 Spilka, 8 Lucas Brown, 9 Anthony Joshua, and #10 was Carlos Takam. So I would look back and see how long has Glaskov been at least the highest rated guy, if not rated #1. And it goes as far back of January of this year. So it's not even been in a full year yet that he's been the highest ranked guy according to the IBF rankings. Now he has been at least rated #2 or the second rated guy by the IBF since March 2014. Kubrat Pulev was the #1 rated guy, or the highest rated guy, March 2014. Pulev finally got his shot November 15th of 2014. He got knocked out in 5 rounds by Wladimir Klitschko. Some people even argue, hey man, Kubrat Pulev, shit, I think he lost to Malik Scott. I think he lost to Derek Rossi. I think he lost to Steve Cunningham. He had to draw with Scott. So some people think Glaskov needs to prove even more. To me, a win is a win, a draw is a draw. It goes down on your record. Now, we can watch the fight and break it down and come to our own conclusions about every fight. You know, I've brought this up many a time. Shit, I thought Pacquiao beat Bradley in that first fight. But what's going to go down in history is Bradley has a win over Manny Pacquiao. To go along with, a lot of fans think Bradley won the fight. But my opinion is different. So you can think what you want about Glaskov's victories or fights that he should have lost. The fact is he's still undefeated with just the 1 draw. But he hasn't been a guy, again, he hasn't been a guy that's been waiting for a title shot for 3 or 4 years. Not that I want him to wait that long. Don't get me wrong. I don't want him to wait that long for the shot. But at the same time, let's just pump the brakes on Czar Glaskov here, you know? And then it's funny that the IBF, they're trying to enforce the rules, and that's great. I want these guys, I want these sanctioning bodies, if you're going to have rules, enforce the rules, right? But this kind of reminds me, and I know this was 20 years ago, man, but I remember when George Foreman fought an unranked guy, Axel Scholz. And I remember Foreman was the IBF and the WBA champion. He had just beaten Michael Moore. It happened. It happened. You know, I remember that fight. Funny thing about that fight, this is kind of a sidebar, but that was my 14th birthday when that fight took place, and my mom and my dad would not order the fight. They didn't think it was worth ordering because they thought Moore was going to outbox. They just didn't want to order the fight. So we had the cable box, and if you go to that pay-per-view channels, although you couldn't see the audio, it will show a salt and pepper screen. But you can, I mean, not, although you couldn't see the video, you can hear the audio, but it will show a salt and pepper screen if you didn't order the fight. So I just listened to the fight that night, and I listened to the the commentary that night, and I listened to the fight, and that's how I learned that George Foreman had beat Michael Moore. But anyways, when Foreman had beat Moore, he was the IBF and WBA champion. The WBA wanted him to fight Tony Tucker. They stripped him because he wouldn't fight Tucker, so they had Tucker fight Bruce Seldon for the title. The IBF said, you know what, Bob Arum, give us some money. Pay us and we'll let you fight Axel Scholz. The WBA stripped him. The IBF, Bob Arum ended up paying $100,000 to the IBF. He was going to give him $200,000. He gave him $100,000 before the fight, and he was going to give him $100,000 after the fight to allow this Axel Scholz fight against Foreman. Scholz was not even ranked by the IBF. Then what ended up happening is Arum didn't give him the $100,000 after the fight because he found out that Foreman ended up paying another official of the IBF $250,000 of his own money. So the IBF was pimping them both. You know what I'm saying? And Foreman them getting $10 million for the fight, and I think Scholz got like $350,000 for the fight. So it's funny that, you know, the IBF now, I haven't looked it up. Maybe, you know, some of the people in the front office at the IBF, maybe these people have changed. But all I'm saying is this. I want the IBF to enforce their rules and go by their guidelines. But we have to make exceptions, man. And this is a perfect exception to make. The dude's been your champion for 9 years. It was a major upset. The other two sanctioning bodies are in agreement with it. The WBA and the WBO. The IBF, to me, is they're pulling behind. I don't know if it's a Glaskov thing. I have no idea. Or is it just, hey, we want our next highest rated guy to get the title shot. But if you're going to make this exception, like I said, you can make it for Klitschko. And I tried to look up the IBF rankings for the month of November. They don't have them posted yet. The only change they made is they have Tyson Fury, their champion. They no longer have Wladimir, but there's no top 10 list. The furthest it goes back is the October ratings. So I looked those up. So yeah, Glaskov's been the highest rated guy for a title shot since January of this year. You know, again, I don't want him to have to wait 4 years, but again, dude, I mean, you've been the #1 rated guy for 11 months. But it's a good discussion. You know, it's a real good discussion. What do you guys think the IBF should really do, man? Should they just say, hey, Glaskov, you hold the hell on? And then another thing is Charles Martin. He has a little problem he needs to get by first. He has this guy named Dominic Breazeale that he needs to fight. An undefeated guy, Olympian, medalist. You know, I tried to look at the betting odds for that fight and I could not find it. I mean, the sites I were on, they even had the betting odds for Arreola versus Travis Kaufman. And Arreola's a 3-1 favorite, by the way. But they don't have Martin and Breazeale. They don't have those odds. To me, without even seeing the odds, it's a pretty even fight, in my opinion. I'm favoring Charles Martin. He has a lot on the line right now. So does Breazeale. He's an undefeated guy. I know he wants to get that bad taste out of his mouth from that Fred Cassie fight, a fight that I thought he lost, or at the very least a draw. But Martin versus Glaskov, logically, I wouldn't be mad with that, because whenever there's a vacant title, if this IBF becomes vacant and the IBF decides to put 2 of their fighters in there for the title in the rankings, the most logical thing for me as a fight fan is, if you're going to do that, have the 2 highest rated guys. It doesn't matter if one of the spots is a non-ranked. Like I said, they have Glaskov rated #1. #2 is non-ranked. Charles Martin is the next highest rated guy at #4. And they still have Fury at 3, but we know he's the champ now. So yeah, Glaskov versus Martin, logically, I don't, you know, that makes sense to me. That makes a lot of sense. Glaskov versus Deontay Wilder for the vacant title. Yeah, it'll kill, you know, you could do 2 things at once, making a unified champion, but it wouldn't make sense by the rankings, so to speak. But Glaskov versus Martin, I wouldn't be upset with that. But really what I want is for the IBF is to keep Tyson Fury the champion, man. You know, let Wladimir Klitschko get the rematch, with your title also being on the line. He was your champion for 9 years. Show the guy some fucking respect, man. Again, it's just my opinion. I'm just one uploader. YTBC. I'm out.